Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the debut record from Shield of Wings, Unfinished, out February 11th on Elder Path Records. The album has 10 tracks, 58 minutes in length, and they are a symphonic American metal band. Now, this record is not a concept album, at least not in the traditional sense, but it's definitely a theme-driven album, a theme that permeates across all 10 songs, tying them all together. When you look at a debut record, you normally look at an album that was created over a span of time. Very rarely a debut record is created in a short time period with that goal in mind. So you're going to see the growth of the band, you're going to see the development of the band, not just in the sound, but in the atmosphere and in the song construction itself. This normally allows the record to feel a little bit broken, feel a little bit more like a compilation and less like an album. It's not the case with this record. They allowed some of the elements to stay very uniform, very balanced throughout every single track, allowing the songs to feel connected, to have this perfect flow from one song to the other, so the listener stays engaged and it's an album that's easy to navigate and easy to digest. At the same time, the individuality of the songs allows the collective to have a lot of strength. That is where the strength comes from. The strength comes from the diversity that each and every single song gives to the overall design, to the overall picture that the album puts together. Once you move into the soundscape, this is definitely a symphonic metal album, so it's going to feel cinematic, it's going to feel big, it's going to have a very robust sound, large footprint. These songs are larger than life and they tend to expand a lot once you get into them. They just feel like they're growing, they're morphing, they're moving, and they have life, they have soul, they have a heartbeat in them. Now, there's an element of the soundscape that I thought was really interesting because I really would like to see this band move a little bit more in that direction. And this is the folkiness of some of their sound. I saw it throughout the entire record. I want to see more of it because when I think of this band, when I analyze their songs, when I feel the atmosphere that they're putting together in their tracks, there is a little bit of a Druid vibe in terms of how everything comes together. So if they can merge the folk side with the symphonic metal side, I feel like they're going to find their DNA. They're going to find their core sound, and that's going to be what's going to differentiate them from other bands in the same genre. You're going to see a little bit on this record, for sure. If you start peeling some of the layers, you're going to find the folk influences song in and song out. But it's really sporadic. It's not as noticeable, it's not as direct, it doesn't have necessarily a roadmap in terms of what we want out of this element and how we're going to get the most out of it without damaging the overall DNA of the tracks, but rather enhance it. So that's something that they need to work on for future records. I really feel like it would propel them to a different level, to a different stratosphere. Now, within the soundscape, I feel like there are three elements that become the core of the entire record for one reason or another. You have to look at the orchestrations, you have to look at the drums, and you also have to look at the guitars. Now, the orchestrations are phenomenal. I love what they add. I love the atmosphere that they create. Some of the intros and outros are really well put together in order to create a flow, to create a connectivity between tracks that makes the album feel a lot more balanced, a lot more connected. They also add to that cinematic, epic vibe that the record has, and it allows the songs and the lyrics of the songs to come to life and paint a much vivid picture. It really becomes a cinematic musical at times once you start to navigate deeper and deeper into this album. My only issue with the orchestrations, there are a few tracks on this album, and it's not constantly, but there are some songs on this album where they almost overshadow everything else in their surroundings, in their neighborhood. And that takes a little bit of the power, that takes a little bit of the shapes of the forms that the songs have, because it becomes really hard to determine what each element is doing within a single song. So it doesn't matter how many layers you have, if you can't tell them apart, if they're all kind of blend in as one, then what's the point of having so many layers? So that's something also that I feel like they have to work on in order to have the impact of the orchestrations there, but not allow them to completely subjugate everything else to a secondary role. The drums on this record are very balanced from start to finish. They ground the record, they give it the necessary foundation, and the songs where you feel like there is a little bit more heaviness, not just coming from the volume or from the robust nature of the songs, you feel like that heaviness, it's a lot of the times coming from the drums themselves. So I like this approach, I like this consistency of approach. I wouldn't have minded if the drums had jumped into the forefront, a song in and a song here, just to kind of differentiate them a little bit more, to give them a little bit more life and not just a one-size-fits-all style uniform approach. But overall, the emphasis that they gave the tracks, the mature sound that they provided, the warmth nature that they gave was really interesting and I really enjoyed it. On the other side, you have the guitars. The guitars really feel like they're sitting on the back seat for the entire record. A lot of the times pushed to that back seat because of the orchestrations. but I felt like there was room for them to have a little bit more of a role, a little bit more of a protagonist role in the entire record, and they didn't. They always felt like they were secondary to everything else that was happening. It doesn't take too much away from the overall epic nature or cinematic nature of the record, because that cinematic nature of the record hides certain deficiencies that the album has. One of them, once again, is the guitars not having perhaps a more predominant role, but it's okay from that perspective. But overall, for the guitar lover, for the listener that's coming in looking for some guitar-driven songs that break the mold of other tracks that have some similar attributes, you're not really gonna find those songs on this record. I just didn't feel like there was enough of the guitar sound. There was not enough of a push, song in and song out, to really allow them to have a spotlight on it, at least for a certain period of time. Now, the vocals are phenomenal. I really like the clean vocals. I like some of the harsh vocals that they use throughout the entire album. It added some texture, it added some layers, it created some necessary changes, and it made an impact on the clean vocals. It made the clean vocals more powerful, it made them more cinematic, it helped enhance the overall atmosphere of the record, and it definitely helped enhance the overall sound quality that this album holds. But if there's definitely something that you can hold on to as an outstanding element, something that shines bright with every single track, regardless of where you are within this album, it's definitely the vocal performance. Outstanding throughout the entire record. Overall, this is a very leveled record. It's a very balanced album. This is not a record that's built around 3 or 4 really outstanding songs, and then the rest are a little bit of fillers that fill in the gaps, fill in the space between those outstanding tracks. This album is really leveled as far as the quality is concerned. Every single track offers a very similar output as far as quality goes. So it's an album that's balanced, that's cohesive, not just from the sound, not just from the approach, not just from the construction, but also from the quality that it has at every single track. Now, I really enjoy the album because of that, because it's a record that allows you to feel constant in the pocket from the first all the way to the last song. Now, as far as favorite tracks are concerned, I want to start off with Native Colossus. Great intro. I really like the intro of this song because it allows you to kind of ease into the track, feel more comfortable, get to know the song a little bit better. It allows you to work your way in a very smooth transitional style approach that makes the song feel better from the get-go. A track that moves, contracts, expands, super dynamic. It doesn't stay flat, it doesn't stay linear, it has constant movement, it gains heaviness in volume once it gets to the chorus. It definitely feels a lot bigger once you get to the chorus. It's very dynamic from that perspective, but vocally very balanced. So you have two different levels here. You have two different playing fields. One musically that allows the song to move up and down and have a heart and have a soul, and then you have vocally a very steady performance that holds it all together, and it doesn't allow the song to fall apart, it doesn't allow the song to break. There's a lot of layers both musically and vocally, but they're very easy to digest and they're very easy to break apart, making the song a lot more engaging, making the song a lot more entertaining. Then you have Breathing. This is my favorite track on the entire album. Maybe the reason for that is because it's the one that I feel is the most complete. It's the one that offers the most diversity, but at the same time, it stays together and stays very compact from start to finish. It has the ability to move the listener along, keep the listener engaged, and it shows all the different sides of the band. It shows the clean vocals, it shows the harsh vocals, it shows a little bit of the guitars, the heaviness of the drums, the great orchestrations, some folk elements. So there's a little bit of everything that this album has from start to finish represented in a single track. Great sound, big presence, cinematic chorus. The chorus is outstanding. Talk about a hooky, catchy chorus, both musically and vocally. You're definitely going to gravitate to it. The heavy drums behind it really empower the song to jump out and have that profound impact as far as that chorus goes. I just love this song both musically and vocally. It just has a lot to give. The harsh vocals are phenomenal. They give texture to the song, they give depth to the song, and it also has an impact because once the clean vocals come in, they levitate the track. They feel super cinematic in their approach and their delivery. Last but not least, we have Cedar, a folky influence at the beginning of the song. It creeps in a few more times throughout the track, but perhaps not as much as I would like. I really would have liked them to driven this song from that opening. That would be the spinal cord of the entire track going forward. And even though you can deviate from it here and there, but I would like them to always come back to that same path, to that same road. It was not the case. It felt like the more that I progressed in this song, the further away from that folky start I got. Now, this is a song that doesn't stay linear. It doesn't stay flat. It grows upwards, it moves upwards, so it morphs and it grows at the same time. It offers different aspects. It offers different attributes. The clean vocals is perhaps the only constant element that doesn't really change as far as the approach is concerned. The tone, the delivery, that changes depending on where you are in the track. But the constant appeal that the clean vocals have, that stays constant, and it has a positive impact on the atmosphere of the track, allowing the atmosphere to be a lot brighter, a lot lighter, very different from Breeding, for example, which has a much darker, somber atmosphere to it. This is it, Shield of Wings Unfinished, out February 11th on Elder Path Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.